Jason Minnick and Zac Luben, thank you so much for joining the show. How are you guys doing this evening?
No, you first. You're the star, man.
Doing really good. Hey, unrehearsed. We're doing this live. No, doing really well and happy to be here. Excited to chat with you guys tonight.
Oh, we really appreciate it. And we've got a lot to do, but before we start, I've got Dan and Steve on the side. They wanted to say hello before we got things cranked up.
Come on, guys.
Hey, how's it going? Just wanted to say thank you for doing this. We definitely appreciate it. We're gonna step back and operate the cameras, if you will. But just want to say thank you. We appreciate your time.
Cool, yeah.
For the record, it's going to be the best camera work you two have done.
Yeah, Zac, good to see you again. Jason, pleasure to meet you. We're going to listen to the background like a couple of audiovisual nerds.
Same to be here. I love the Waz jersey behind you guys, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Thanks. Thank you.
Oh, man.
So, thanks, Dan and Steve. Guys, very excited to talk to you both. Zac, you know that you're just a mainstay for the team. We just love you. You are part of what defines what Phoenix Rising is today, and it's just awesome to have you here. Jason, we welcome you. I think it's just really cool of you to be willing to be on the show. So what I want to do, Zac, if it's okay, is just take a couple minutes and talk with Jason, and then we'll get right into it with you, if that's all right.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. So, Jason, we've talked a little bit, and you know that the fan base is just really interested in knowing who is this guy. Mm-hmm. So can you tell us just a little bit about yourself and how you ended up learning about Phoenix Rising and how you eventually ended up with the club?
Yeah, so I started out 2005. I got an internship with DC United right after they won the Cup in 2004. I was there until about August. Then I caught on with the USL League, running the Super Y League, and a lot of communications, writing, stuff like that, running the website, photography for the PDL, and then helping them set up events and stuff like that they used to do. I don't know if they still do the national championships and stuff like that. That was a big part in November. And then I got the gig with FC Dallas. There I was the director of media services. I was there for 8 years. Pretty much ran the media, the press box, pitching, stories, the whole gamut. And then I went up to Salt Lake to learn a little bit about the marketing side and do some hiking last year. And then I really missed the game. I love the hiking, but Phoenix has both. So let's finally play some soccer. Let's go.
Well, and even better, we're not Salt Lake, so there's that too. You know? So you'd heard of Phoenix Rising before you even started talking to the club. You knew who we were because you'd been in the business. Mm-hmm. Which for me, for some reason, I thought you'd been in the world of hockey, and I don't know where that came from. So how did you engage with the club? How did you end up with the club, Phoenix Rising?
Yeah, to answer your question, I guess I missed it. When I was at Dallas, Michael Della Russo was here, so I knew a little bit about that. I was really good friends at the time with Jonathan Topp, one of the academy players, and I think he was the leading scorer for Arizona United back that probably 2015 or something like that. But yeah, great kid. And I even talked to him a little bit about being here and how much he liked it, and right after I landed. But yeah, I was doing the marketing thing, a lot of work for like a local grocery store up there on the marketing side, a little bit on PR side. And let's see, I think about January, I just applied for the position, and I was eating a burger one day at Proper Brewery, and Bobby gave me a ring. So
wow,
that was that.
It's a little easier process than it was for you, right, Zac?
That's close. It's close. It's close.
Yeah, you're eating a burger.
I had to go through some rings to get here. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that in a minute. I do want to just talk quickly with Jason about the timing, because you showed up immediately when the lockdown started, right? So no games. You haven't been to a Phoenix Rising game yet or anything. We're not going to go into detail right now, but has it been difficult trying to market a season that kind of hasn't existed yet?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult for everybody. So you can't complain. At the end of the day, you're still in the game. You're still basically not working a day because of how much you love what you're doing. But yeah, we all want to see some soccer. So we shut down. Actually, the day I was supposed to start, Monday the 15th of March, was the first day Bobby was like, yeah, don't come into the office. So, so it was just like, oh man, I just moved down here over the weekend, ready to go. And yeah, we pulled the plug on everything. And yeah, just a lot of meetings going on with our partners. And you get a little bit of a Zoom meeting with some of them. Most of it's just email. So you don't really, the process of working through them. But this past weekend, we had a lot of stuff to fire off. And we got a couple campaigns, the drive-through, drop-off event coming up on Thursday, the Rising Against Racism shirts, and then the cut-up. So all those campaigns hit, and yeah, ready to go. All moving fast, and can't wait to see you guys play, or see him play, see a game, and even more. Hopefully August 1st we can have some fans and meet those guys as well.
It would be fantastic. Now, I have several other questions for you, but I'm looking at the time, and in the interest of time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you on the hook, okay? Because we have some real meat here. I really want to talk to you about the passion of the fan base, because, we're, as Zac knows, we are an honorary bunch. We are never satisfied, are we, Zac? It just, and it's an excitable and a very passionate group, and that's something you have to manage. Your predecessor Sam had to manage it, and it was not an easy job. So I tell you what, how about we make a deal? We get this game out of the way this weekend, and then we circle back and talk some more.
Sounds good. As long as you get some time to talk to Zac, because that's what we're here to do.
He's the man. So I'm going to switch gears right away, but we're hoping that you've got some input as we're talking today. So appreciate you sticking around. So Zac.
Yeah. Number
one question for me. How in the hell do you get into soccer when you live in Montana? What is that all about?
Honestly, like, if I grew up in Montana, I don't think I would play. I was born in Colorado, and very shortly, like 6 weeks later, we moved to Australia, and I lived in Australia for 4 years, and then New Zealand for a year.
Really?
There, my sister started playing soccer, my older sister, and then kind of whatever she was doing, I would do. So I started kicking a ball around on the side, when she was at practice. And then when we moved to Montana, when I was 5 years old, 5, 6, I just wanted to keep playing soccer, and, that stuck. But, looking back on it, I totally think that if I had just grown up in Montana or anywhere else, even in Colorado, that I probably would be in football or baseball or basketball or something else. And that I don't think soccer would have been a passion of mine.
So did you have to drive like 50 miles to find the other dude in Montana who played soccer? Is that how that worked?
No joke. We put a lot of miles in the car playing soccer. There was a year where I played for a club 3 hours away from where I lived. We were one of the only clubs to ever even advance out of the group stage in the regional tournament from Montana. And then, yeah, like, going to games, the closest game is at least 2 hours away. So, we talk about car rides and everything. We put in the miles. So if we got to drive a few hours here and there, I can jump in the car and drive 7 or 8 hours, just no problem. Cause that's what we had to do to play games.
Well, get used to it, because I think that's what this whole season's going to be, man.
That's what it's sounding like. Maybe enough room for an air mattress or something on the bus, but
do they take extra seats out for you so you got enough room? Is that how that works? Or?
I've heard the rumor. We're hoping. I think there's a lot of things in the air. Like in the East, they have like big sleeper buses. I heard those aren't really on the West Coast at all. So we'll see what happens. But I believe in the club, and they'll make the right moves to make sure we're comfortable and put us in the best position to win games. And since I've been here, that's what the club's always done.
My recommendation is, if you get on the bus and you find that it's not exactly what you need, you just start stomping around and saying, "Do you know who I am?" And you'll get results. So it'll work out. Tell us a little bit about the journey you had to get to play with Phoenix Rising, because I think this is a very cool story.
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to get here for a while. Honestly, I'm a huge fan of Diplo. I saw him back in like 2011 at just a tiny little bar in Seattle. Not a ton of fans. Major Lazer was there too. Obviously, they were a little bit bigger that time, but I saw Diplo, by an ownership group. I was like, wow, like I just kind of want to play for him. So ever since he was involved, I was trying to get here. At that point, Carl was here. Obviously, incredible keeper who's, league records and saves in a season, overall saves. So it was tough, tough to get in here when they have a goalkeeper like that. Went to Sweden, saw the rebranding, saw what they were doing, built the stadium in Drogba. I was like, man, like I have to get to Phoenix. And at that point too, I was over the cold. I was in cold Sweden. It was dark. Man, the wind, like brutal. And I wanted to be in the sun. So yeah, I tried to reach out through an agent. It got turned down. They had their goalkeeper signed for the year. I didn't know that yet. I even went through a friend who maybe knew the ownership group a little bit. He had tried to reach out for me, but they said no. It was pretty set, and I saw that they signed their goalkeepers, had a few really good ones in John Berner and Dallas J. And unfortunately for John, but it worked for me. He came up with a back injury in the off season, and finally got the call to come in and join for preseason, and luckily was able to earn a contract. And I came in flying and buzzing and excited to be here because I knew this was a spot I wanted to be. And I felt very, very fortunate that I ended up here because really it's been the best part of my career.
Well, yeah, it was great to have you show up, and it's funny. John Berner is the reason why PRFC Fan Show exists, because we just decided to put this show together, and my co-host back then said, "Hey, I know John Berner a little bit. We went to the same university," and I was like, "Well, that's not much of a connection, but let's try it." He came over here. We recorded our first episode, an interview with him, and it just helped us kind of lay the groundwork to work with the club a little bit.
SLU boy, right? St. Louis University.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was tough. Like, John's such a good goalkeeper, and I watched him play the year before, and what happened was unfortunate.
Very much so.
And, that's part of the grind. Like for me, it was staying ready, staying for my chance, and I got it. And I'm really glad to see John healthy again. He's back in St. Louis and at home and fighting for a spot now again. So it's, I know a lot of goalkeepers that have had back surgeries. I shouldn't say a lot, but a few. And it's a really, really difficult thing to come back from, just the way we throw our bodies around and hit the ground. It's a lot.
It is a lot. And I do wish him well. He's a good guy. But I think, where his misfortune and it ended up being good for him was our fortune, because we got you. And come on, let's face it, some of the most iconic plays that we've had in Phoenix Rising football in the past season involved Zac Luben. And we'll get to some of that in a few minutes. But I want to ask a little bit more about your view on football in general. I always ask this: what clubs do you follow?
I don't really have a club because I didn't really grow up watching European soccer at all. I didn't really get a chance to grow up watching soccer in general, even in the U.S. MLS wasn't on TV. And it wasn't really until I even got to college that I started watching. And at that point, I understood fandom and passion of fans. And I didn't want to be a fake fan. I didn't want to just like get behind a team just cause, or want to watch Manchester United because they're winning Champions Leagues, during that time. And so really, I just kind of started following players. I have my favorites, and then it allows me also to watch any game, anytime, and enjoy it because, I don't really have much but I enjoy watching everyone. So sadly, I can't say that I'm a true fan of anybody, but there's a good reason for it.
You know what? The experience isn't that unique because it just wasn't available for a long time. We'd see the World Cup, maybe a couple of other things, right?
Exactly. that's what drew me into soccer, was basically just watching the World Cup and watching Casey Keller and Brad Friedel play. And that's what drew me to be a goalkeeper. And, and they've been a big part of well, not Brad Friedel, but Casey Keller's been a big part of my career, until this point.
Who would you say is one of the top keepers in the world today?
Neuer's always been a favorite of mine. I think his form has slipped a little bit. I don't think he's quite at the level that he was in 2014 when Germany won the World Cup, and Bayern Munich was winning all the Champions Leagues. He broke his foot. He sat out for that year, and ever since I don't think he's quite gotten it back yet.
He doesn't have the speed. He has the strength, but not the speed he used to have.
Mm-hmm. Ter Stegen, I think, is next level. I think he's probably one of my top keepers right now. All Black, who is, people don't really look at him as a top one, but I think he's one of the best two. Those would be my top two. De Gea, I think, is incredible, but also since the World Cup in 2018, I don't think he's been as good either. He made some mistakes leading up to the World Cup, and his form really, really dipped. So guys are kind of coming in and out, and I think there's a few candidates for the number one spot.
I think that's fair. I'm always, I'm a big Bundesliga fan, and Bayern Munich and Hertha Berlin are big clubs for me. So I always love to hear Neuer's up there. Some on the list at least. He's a good goalkeeper. So when you play keeper, who have you modeled yourself off of? Is there anyone who you look at and say, that's kind of, I like to emulate what that keeper is doing?
Yes, definitely. I think Edwin van der Sar would probably be my top one. It was, Casey Keller too. He really got me into being a goalkeeper, wanting to be a goalkeeper, and I watched him play. But van der Sar, I'm built like he is. We're tall, lanky,
and aggressive.
And very aggressive. And, you don't quite have that spring that some of the smaller goalkeepers do. But if, you move right, and I watch him move, and his technique, he can cover all the corners, and it looks like his feet are barely even leaving the ground. And that's something I've always tried to emulate: quick feet, being able to move as a big man. And he'd probably be the guy that I was like, wow. I would like to say Neuer, but I think at that point he was honestly just such a next level. It was like, I guess shoot for the moon or aim for the stars and reach the moon. But Van der Sar would be one that I emulate the most, I think.
Well, actually, I like your choice of Van der Sar because he is built like you, whereas Neuer's a whole different built beast, right? Mm-hmm. So what body type you are is going to dictate how you're going to play the position, right? Which is true of any position. Mm-hmm. So I like that a lot. When you're in the goal and, you really are not afraid to get in the face of a striker. You will come out, you are ready to fling your body into whatever, is coming at you. I mean, you got the scar to prove it, right?
Oh, yeah. No, need the lighting on the other side.
What's going through your head when you have some guy bearing down on you and it's him or you? What's the process there? What are you thinking?
Hit him harder. Then you're usually the one who doesn't get hurt. No, I mean, honestly, kind of, I think comes back to my upbringing too. My winter sport was hockey. So I've never been afraid of a challenge or getting into a fight or, checking people and the contact. So that's always been something I've loved. And that's kind of part of why I love being a goalkeeper too, is we sometimes do have the opportunity to put on a little more contact than you do on the field as a field player. So, I always think if you kind of go in and pull out a little bit, you don't go in 100%, you end up being the one who gets hurt. And so, I try to go in stronger, harder, louder, and faster, and the majority of the time they get out of the way.
Have you seen the night lights that Crit's making?
Mine actually just showed up today. It got a little lost. Got the wrong apartment number, but it just showed up today. I'm really excited. It's awesome.
They are fantastic. Jason, have you seen what he's been putting together? One of the fans.
Yeah.
It's black magic. That's what it is. They are night lights. They're about this big, and when you look at them, you can see that there's like traces of something on the white plastic, but it just looks like white plastic. In fact, when I opened mine up, I thought, I'm going to have to get somebody to paint this, right? But when you plug it in the wall, it lights up, and this black and white lithograph appears. And one of them, of course, is one of Zac's bigger plays when he was that an LA Galaxy 2 player? I forget.
El Paso
player.
I believe.
Where Zac just absolutely pimp slap a guy, and it's a great photo in the first place, but doesn't it just look? I'm assuming that's what you got. It just
that's awesome. I mean, that was a full-on body check. This dude's feet went above his head.
Oh yeah.
And for some reason, and it wasn't even my fault. I just picked up the ball and he didn't stop. So I was like, all right,
here we go. And the reaction from the fans was classic because you just heard this, oh. That was fabulous. So this is going to be team secret question time. Do you ever get the chance to be a target and last minute desperate, bring the keeper up at the end of the game set plays?
Well, secret. I dabble. I get up there sometimes. We might work on it.
Okay.
I
know you can't directly answer it, but
I will say in Sweden, we were in a cup tie and we were in extra time, or we were at the end of the second half going into extra time. We needed a goal, and I went up for a corner kick, and I basically had drawn enough people to me that a guy was free, got a header and knocked down, and we ended up scoring, brought it to extra time, and ended up winning. So I do take a little credit for that goal, even though I wasn't specifically the one who finished.
Always take more credit than you're due.
So,
I'm good with that.
I remember last year, one point I was like, Rick, let me go. I'm ready. I think when we were playing Salt Lake, I just didn't get a chance. We didn't have a chance to.
Don't remind me. That's just painful. So what's your take on online fan engagement? You're very active with the fans. What are your thoughts about engaging with the fans, and what do you think? We know we're going to get to all the causes that you've been doing lately, so take that out of the equation. But what do you think about just engaging with the fans online and how that works?
It requires a healthy balance. If you get too involved, I think you can get sucked into, everything that goes on. But then, you have to see what's going on. You have to be engaged. You guys are a big reason we're out there. I mean, without the fans, we wouldn't be here as players. So, to have you guys involved in, we know how much passion and energy you guys bring, that really it's us wanting to thank you for bringing it night in and night out whenever we have games. But you can't, like I said, you can't just get sucked into it because, maybe you have a bad game and everyone's crushing you. Not just our fans, not our fans don't really crush us, but
I'm sure they do.
Because you go on a bad run of form, you're your striker, you're not scoring goals. As a goalkeeper, there's been games you're giving up multiple goals, you make a mistake. It's tough. And really the big thing to me is you're never as good as everyone says, because you do well, you keep 4 or 5 clean sheets. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, you need to be in the MLS, blah, blah, blah. But then, maybe a month later you're in tough form and it's like, how are you on the squad? You're making mistakes, da, da, da. So it's the biggest thing to me is engage, and I love it, but having a healthy balance and staying in the middle, because like I said, you're never as good and you're never as bad as what they say. So, the more up and downs you have, the worse off you are, and really trying to maintain that even keel is big. But, it is so special, I think, for you guys. And that's what I love about Phoenix Rising too, is how much we connect with our fans, coming around after games and high fives and signing all the autographs for kids. it's really a community club. So I love engaging with you guys.
It is indeed. And I think it's interesting. There were a couple of nicknames for you. We all know Laundromat Luben, right? That's been around for quite a while. But Static Dan brought up something that I wasn't even familiar with, the Beast from Bozeman. Have you heard that one before?
I don't know. I think I've seen that a couple times, or maybe it was like an acronym that I wasn't like picking up on. But I don't know if I've seen that one too much.
Yeah, I like it. I think it fits.
I'll take it.
We gotta accelerate. I gotta ask you about the season. We cannot not talk about the season for a minute. We know what our group is. We know that, I'm gonna just put it this way. My feeling is that the group is not what I would call a stretch group at all. We have teams that are brand new. We've got the likes of Las Vegas, which I know from a team's perspective, you guys are gonna say we respect them and all that kind of good stuff. From a fan perspective, we just look at them and go, you guys suck, and we want to trounce you, and that's what we're gonna do. Orange County, a little bit of a challenge there, right? A lot of a challenge, a little bit.
A lot of a challenge.
You guys have been in seclusion for so long. You're going to come out on Saturday and you're going to play a game. If you've watched any of the Premier Bundesliga games, which I know you have, we went back and forth on Twitter a little bit. Some of these teams were slow getting out of the gate. How are you guys avoiding coming out slow, getting out of the gate?
Man, honestly, I mean, I think we've been waiting so long. It's going to be hard not to just come out firing. Now, I'm not saying we're going to be perfect because,
sure,
we don't have a chance to play the preseason games, and it's so different when you do go into a game. We've been playing some 11 aside against each other, but when it's a different opponent, it's a whole nother beast. But we're so excited to get playing again. We've had this day circled on the calendar for months. I think the big thing is there's going to be mistakes, right? No matter what, from me to the guys up front, getting used to each other again, really going at the speed of play we need to. But understanding that it's going to be hard and there's going to be mistakes, and not getting upset by that, because that's the worst thing you do, make a mistake and that turns into two. So, we're going to come out firing and understand it's going to be a little choppy, but if we work through that, stick together as a group and a team, I know we're going to be where we want to at the end of the season. And that's, winning the group and getting out and going to the tournament.
Winning that cup. Do you feel pressure? I mean, you know what the fans' expectations are. I mean, we're so horrible because we almost just assume that we're going to win the cup because we know what quality team we're putting on the field. Do you all feel that pressure? I mean, I know you put it on yourselves a lot too.
Exactly. Over the last couple seasons, we've been close. We've had first year I was here, a decent regular season, but an incredible playoff run. Last year, incredible season, fizzled out in the playoffs. So hopefully we can put those two together and come home with a cup. And that's the goal. To us, anything less than that isn't enough. So we put that pressure on ourselves, but, we love that pressure, and that's what gets us up in the morning and gets us to work. And that's why we compete so hard every morning. Like I've never been a part of a group that competes so hard with each other, wants to win as badly as we do day in and day out, no matter what it is, drill, game, training, anything. It's a competitive group, and we're fighting for each other. We're fighting for spots, and we're fighting to win games and win that trophy.
Any club that you in particular want to beat this year?
I mean, I don't give anybody. We want to beat every club.
All right. Yeah.
It's just straight
See,
up.
this is the PR that Jason teaches you.
Every single club.
I love when players come prepared like that. I don't have to tell him a thing. He knows exactly.
You almost got me.
God.
And we know everyone's going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
It's hard to know It's hard to know where clubs are going to stand.
Blah, 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 blah. You're supposed to say New Mexico, man. We're going to trounce New Mexico. We're going to pulverize New Mexico and Real and a couple others. But, okay, it's good.
I am just really looking forward to that game.
There we go.
Yeah.
Completely switching gears because I'm looking at the time and Zoom's just going to obliterate us. You've had some great initiatives going online. Play for Pride, huge success, I believe. How much did they raise finally? They beat their goal.
I think they ended up with like $13,000.
Yeah, that sounds right.
$13,000. And the awesome part, I didn't get to say it, is they're also donating some of that, like 20% or half was going to Pride groups in the Black and Brown community.
Wonderful.
Different, LGBT groups under the BLM, group. So really great, hitting both sides. And to be honest, I was going to the rallies and listening. It's incredibly sad how much worse LGBTQ plus people in the colored community gets abused more than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you talk about Black Lives Matter and the injustices on them, but, take it to the LGBTQ community and it's even worse. So, really great that they were able to combine the both of them.
Well, you're to be applauded for the great work you did there. I mean, it was absolutely great. I was very, very happy to participate in that. And it just goes, Jason, we see this stuff from Phoenix Rising all the time. And it just shows what a quality club we are. I also wanted to bring up the fact that you were out in the peaceful marches that happened in Phoenix, and you actually ended up with some of the Phoenix Rising fans. What was that experience like for you?
Just humbling. Listen to some incredible speakers. Some speakers who have had seen some of the worst things, experienced some of the worst things, and still sending out such a positive message of love and peace and equality. So listening to them, inspiring and seeing, I saw a lot of the Phoenix Rising supporters out at multiple marches before that and going and talking to them. They had put in some 20 plus miles that week in that, and not surprising at all because I know how inclusive our supporters groups are, and they're always the ones starting the Pride fundraisers that I usually help support because I usually stick to local ones. And so, to see, and it was incredibly peaceful to hear some of the people speak, just humbling and, inspire me to do more. And that's all, I was looking for. And hopefully, there's been people that's inspired me, especially our supporters groups. What I've received from you guys has continued to push me to speak out and inspire me to, speak against social injustice. Hopefully then in turn to inspire other people to start doing research and educate themselves to speak out, because that's what it took for me to finally say something and be public. Because prior to this, I really haven't. I've always wanted to. And I never knew the best route, what to say, how to say it. And that led to just kind of inaction and silence. And so, I just wanted to hopefully inspire people to speak out, and make mistakes, right? It's very hard. You walk, it's a very fine line to be politically correct, not offending people over here, not offending people over here. Sure. And it's tough to have those conversations, especially as a white kid, privileged from Montana, understanding where other people have come from and their experiences. It's been just so educational for me, and I'm learning so much and just humbled and about everything I've continued to learn. And it's awesome to join our supporters because they support us so much, and this is a cause they believe in, just like our team. We have so many different people, different backgrounds, ethnicities, countries, religions, everything. It's the same with our supporters groups, faces of every different kind. And that's what makes Phoenix Rising so special. It's a culture, and we're a community, and we support each other. So, you guys support me, and I'm here to support you guys.
It's been a synergistic relationship, and it's part of what makes this club so great. But we have to say that your example has been absolutely stellar. I know for a fact that there are people with kids out there who have seen Zac Luben doing what he's doing, and it's had an effect on our kids in a positive way. So you should feel very, very proud about that. I think it's wonderful.
That's the goal, and then especially for the kids, they're the next generation, and they're the ones who are going to be the change that we need.
Absolutely. Well, we have, according to Zoom, about 1 minute and 45 seconds left before they turn everything off, the lights go out. So let me ask this: any last words that you'd like to share?
Man, I've just been waiting to come on the show. I've seen you guys put a lot on. I've seen you guys have people, and no, I'm really excited to be here.
Not true.
It shows support for you guys that you've shown for me. So really happy to do it, and I'm excited to see your guys' cutouts. See what we got in the fans this month, and then even better when August rolls around and we're all safe, that we'll have you guys in the crowd. It just won't be the same this month without you.
Well, we're going to be there, heart and soul, and appreciate everything that you do. Have a fantastic season. Really appreciate you being on the show. And Jason, you too. We have a lot more to talk about too. You're not off the hook. But I am looking at this, and we are pushing for time. So I will just say thank you to both of you. Really appreciate you being, spending this time this evening with me, and looking forward to a Saturday night. Cannot come soon enough.
Great.
All right, guys. Have a great evening. Thanks again.
Thanks, Zach.
Have a great evening.
All right.
See ya.
Bye-bye.